We've got Steve Helwick on the line. You can join him and on Twitter. Just look him up right there, covering MAC football and covering Texas as well at the on-campus station TSTV. All right, Steve, let's discuss the transition from 2017 to 2018. By Texas standards, 17 wasn't what Texas fans would want, but certainly a step in the right direction when you consider winning season, competing with some of the best teams in the Big 12 and including USC, taking that game to overtime on the road and really not getting blown out by anyone, being competitive in every game, defeating an Iowa State team that turned out to be pretty good, and now transitioning into 2018 with this fine recruiting class. So your thoughts about what you saw to conclude 2017. Of course, we had you on right after the big Missouri win in the Texas Bowl, and just your thoughts about Texas's outlook based on personnel losses and who needs to step up to fill some of those shoes.
That Missouri-Texas Bowl win was absolutely huge for the program. It sealed a winning season for the first time since 2013 with the program, and now they just finally look like they're heading in the right direction. You could see the players were elated that night. I remember a defensive end outside linebacker hybrid after the game, Brecken Hager, in his press conference. He was saying that was the night Tom Herman won over the locker room. So it seems like that moment is going to be a transition era for Texas. I think this team can win 8-9 games next year, maybe even more. You said that they didn't get blown out this year. They had a tough schedule. There were, I think, 4 top 20 teams at the end of that finished in the top 20 in the final AP poll. Oklahoma, they lost by 1 possession. USC, that it took them to double overtime on the road. Oklahoma was a neutral site game. Oklahoma State, that was a home game, 13-10, another overtime game. Then TCU, they always struggle with TCU, lost 24-7. Giving up 24 points isn't terrible. So Texas had 4 losses against very tough teams in a difficult schedule. They shouldn't have lost to Maryland or Texas Tech, but they did. They also won a couple games over Iowa State and West Virginia, which are tougher wins. So Texas did well in that regard. And I expect the Longhorns to – I think they're going to do better in 2018, but you have to look at some of these losses on the roster. They have a lot of NFL draft talent on this team. Inside linebacker Malik Jefferson, the heart of the defense. He was a junior, declared for the draft. Deshaun Elliott, I think he was a Jim Thorpe finalist. He was a junior, declared for the draft. He should be a second, maybe early third-round pick. He had lots of interceptions this year. He was among the nation's leaders there. They will lose Connor Williams, their left tackle, and really by far their best player on that offensive line. The offensive line struggled. They drew a lot of holding penalties, and they gave up a lot of sacks late in the season, especially when Williams was hurt throughout the year. They also have guard Jake McMillan transferring. So the offensive line is probably going to be the weak point of the Texas Longhorns in the 2018 season. Defensively, we mentioned Malik Jefferson and Deshaun Elliott leaving. Texas got great news last week when defensive end Charles Omenihu, he's one of those vocal leaders on the team that the players rally behind, I can see. And Omenihu's going to stay, and that's going to be huge for the pass rush with him and Hager there. They'll be seniors next year, 2 veteran players leading that unit. Elliott's gone. Cornerback Holton Hill, who ended the year on suspension, also declared for the NFL draft. But the secondary does have some talented returning pieces. It wasn't the best secondary in 2017, but it will be one of the most experienced in the Big 12 with Chris Boyd and Devontae Davis at the corners returning. And then we discussed a lot about him after the Texas Bowl. Maybe Texas's biggest loss this year will be Michael Dixon, the punter, who won almost every single field position battle all year, Ray Guy Award winner. Honestly, I'll have to say he's the best college punter I've ever seen this season, one of the highest averages of all time, consistently pinning teams inside the 20. I don't know where he'll go in the NFL draft, but pro football is a little bigger than a college ball. I wonder how his kicking style will be in the NFL, but I wouldn't be surprised if a team took him with a mid-round pick if he was taken before if he was taken before the 5th round, which would be impressive for a punter. So that's most of the turnover with Texas. Offensively, they return most of their key pieces, including their quarterback, just losing Connor Williams there.
So we mentioned Dixon, because of some of the offensive struggles, booted it 84 times this year at 47.4 yards per punt. As Steve mentions, one of the higher averages you will ever see from a college or NFL punter. Hager and Amahu coming in from the defensive front, both had 4 sacks last year and 16 tackles for loss combined.